All right. I'd like to start off by saying Barakatah Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Racha Kodash. By saying Barakatah Yahweh to another live lesson. The name of this one is a response to Elder Pastor's video, Can You Have Sex on the Sabbath? And what I want to do here, the Elder Pastor mentioned to Zaryak. You know, he said that we told him about it. He didn't see the video. I actually posted the video on his comment board here, and I'm gonna play a little bit so you can hear it for yourself.
910-616. You're on Cross the Line Radio. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, Shalom, brothers. I'm from my name is Renegade Cherokee.
Okay.
I call from Kim. And the question I have for you good brothers is sexual relations with your wife, is that permissible according to the law of Moses?
You said is having sex with your wife permissible? Is that what you said?
On the Sabbath day.
Oh, on the Sabbath. But there's not a law that you can't have sex on the Sabbath, huh? Where's the law that says you can't? There ain't no law when you have, the Lord don't care when you have sex, just never shit. The Lord don't want to regulate your sexual deviancy or sexual activity. So the Lord don't want to regulate your sexual activity as long as it's not a man on a man, a woman on a woman. However you deal with your rib, that's how you deal with your rib.
So you heard it yourself. I mean, they go into it. It's the video is 9 minutes, 47 seconds long. And they go into a whole spiel of all the stuff you could do on the Sabbath, fishing, watching movie, whatever they were talking about here. So, I just wanted to show that, so that you could see for yourself that they actually said that you have General Yohana here. I forget his name, General, it starts with a Ma. And you have this other individual here. You have other, people in the room that are confirming what Captain Tazariak is teaching because they all agree with it, so I just wanted to make that point. So I just want to get a couple of precepts. Just going to go to the main one, Isaiah 58:13. If thou turn away thy foot from the Sabbath, from doing thy pleasure on my holy day. Because sex is a pleasure. Sleep is a pleasure, but sleep is necessary. Eating is pleasurable, but eating is necessary. The scriptures specifically speak about the Sabbath being what? A holy day. As it says in Exodus 20, verse 8. Remember the Sabbath day to what? To keep it holy. Sleep does not defile you. Eating lawful foods does not defile you. Sitting down, relaxing, or whatever the case is, does not defile you. So what defiles a man? Well, let's go to Leviticus 15 and 16. And if any man's seed of what? Of copulation go out from him. So what is the seed of copulation? Well, let's get it. The word for copulation is shakabah, which is act of lying, layer, coding, act of lying of sexual relations. So pretty much sexual relations is the seed of copulation, which is your seed coming out of your rod. You could have a what they call the hell is that called? A wet dream. Or you can have sex with a woman, and once that seed comes out, you are unclean. It says, and if any man's seed of copulation go out from him, then he shall wash all his flesh in water, and be unclean until the evening. The Lord said, remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. Seed sex makes you unclean. So you cannot perform the duties of the Lord while you are unclean, because you are unclean until the evening. And we know that the Sabbath is from evening to evening. So you cannot partake in the Sabbath if you are unclean. It says, in every garment and every skin whereon is the seed of copulation shall be washed with water and be unclean until the evening. The woman also with whom man shall lie with seed of copulation, they shall both bathe themselves in water and be unclean until the evening. So having sex is isn't, I mean, it brings forth life, but it's also unclean. So you will be unclean until the evening, you know? So now, and this is why a woman has to go through the law of purification after she has a child, because of that seed. Okay, as it tells us in Leviticus, the 12th chapter. Now let's go to Exodus 19. This is when Israel wanted to go see the Most High. They wanted to talk to the Lord himself. They didn't want to deal with Moses anymore. So the Most High gave Moses specific instructions on what to do with the people. Exodus 19:14. And Moses went down from the mount unto the people and sanctified the people. He made them holy because they were holy people, but he's preparing them for what is to come. And they washed their clothes. So because the Most High told them to do this. And he said unto the people, be ready against the third day, come not at your wives. Why? Because sex makes one unclean until the evening. There's nothing wicked with sex, but you're not supposed to have sex on the Sabbath. That is a pleasure that makes you unclean. We go to 1 Samuel 21:1. Then came David. This is when King David was on a run from, from his own kingdom, from his son, and they were fighting and they were hungry, and they came to the priest, and they were asking the priest for some food to eat. Then came David to Nob to Ahimelech the priest, and Ahimelech was afraid at the meeting of David, and said unto him, why art thou alone, and no man with thee? And David said unto Ahimelech the priest, the king hath commanded me a business, and hath said unto me, let no man know anything of the business whereabout I send thee, and what I have commanded thee, and I have appointed my servants to such and such a place. Now therefore, what is under thine hand, give me 5 loaves of bread of my in my hand, or what there is present. Salaki, this is dealing when he was running from King Saul. My bad. This is when he was running from King Saul. It says, and the priest answered David and said, there is no common bread under mine hand, but there is hallowed bread, meaning holy bread, which is what? Supposed to be given to the priests in the temple. This is what the priest said, but there is hallowed bread if the young men have kept themselves at least from women. And David answered the priest and said unto him, of his truth, women have been kept from us about these 3 days since I came out. And the vessels of the young men are what? Holy. Why? Because sex makes you unclean until the evening. It says, since I came out, and the vessels of the young men are holy, and the bread is in a manner common, yea, though it were sanctified this day in the vessel. So having sex on a Sabbath makes you unclean. The Lord said, remember the Sabbath to keep it holy, because you had different offices that you had to do on the Sabbath, which was going to the temple, reading the Torah, and different things of that nature, which you could not do if you were unclean. All right. Yeah, the water, brother, because that question seemed kind of fishy. The water. All right, so it says, Isaiah 58:13, if thou turn away thy foot from the Sabbath, from doing thy pleasure on my holy day. Why? Because the Sabbath, the Lord said to keep it holy. Having sex makes you unclean until the evening. The Lord told Moses to have the men not come at their wives for 3 days. King David and his men could not eat of the hallowed bread unless they kept themselves from women at least 3 days. Why? Because they would have been unclean. So King David told them that they kept themselves from women those 3 days, and the vessels of the young men are holy. We're supposed to keep the Sabbath holy. Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. Sleeping does not make you unclean. Eating does not make you unclean. What makes you unclean is having sex. Okay? Having sex is what makes you unclean. So when we read here, if thou turn away thy foot from the Sabbath, from doing thy pleasures on my holy day, having sex, And whatever else, is not permissible. Cooking is not permissible, and different other things. And call the Sabbath a delight, the holy of the Lord, holy, honorable, and shall honor him, not doing thine own ways, nor finding thine own pleasure, nor speaking thine own words. Then shalt thou delight thyself in the Lord, and I will cause thee to ride upon the high places of the earth, and feed thee with the heritage of Jacob thy father, for the mouth of the Lord hath spoken it. So we're supposed to keep the Sabbath day holy. Sex makes you unclean. So these clowns here, yes, and I'm calling them clowns, don't know what the fuck they're talking about. All right? You ain't supposed to be having sex. That's just a perverse, lewd spirit that's being pushed out there by these different camp leaders. That's what the scripture said. The leaders of this people cause thee to err. And the individual that was calling is simple, because he's asking them, hoping for them to confirm the word, and what they're telling him is the wrong thing. And he's being convinced by these guys of that. Now I was going to mention something else, but I ain't going to say nothing. So with that, pretty much that's it. I pray that your brothers have been edified. To the next time I say shalom.